Hello dear programmer, I welcome you in the lecture series of Fundamentals of Data Structure. In the last session we have seen what is abstract data type, what are the different data structures. Now we are going to start with the algorithm. What is algorithm? What are the different characteristics of algorithm? Let me start. At the end of this session, I expect my student will be able to understand that what is algorithm and they can able to write their own algorithm in the for the given pseudocode. Also, I expect that my student will be able to analyze their algorithm, means how to calculate the efficiency of their algorithm. So, what is algorithm? Yes, it is a finite set of instruction. If that instructions are being followed, then we are getting a some particular task. So, for every algorithm, there must be provided input. We are expecting the at least a good quality of output will be get produced. Each and every instructions will be clear and unambiguous. If we trace out the instructions of algorithm for all the cases, for all the looping statement, or we can say repeatedly that statement, then there must be terminate after a finite number of steps. And every algorithm must be effective, means every instruction must be very basic so that it can be carried out in a principle or by a persons using simply a paper and pencil way. So, like that fashion, before starting with our developing or any coding, we need to think about that how we are going to perform that operations. That's why we require that algorithm. Once we have been checked out that what and how we are going to do, then they are going to be specified by the different ways. Means we are going to describe algorithm by different ways. That we can say it like a human language statement, like open a program, right? Like that called as a natural language. We can represent that algorithm by the flowchart, which is having the graphical representation you might have learned in your computer fundamentals. The flowchart is simple, but it is applicable only for the small code. Now we are going to be start with the third one is called as a pseudocode. What is a pseudocode? In that pseudocode, we are not providing any directly a C construct, right? We are simply doing the combination of our C and some human like language or the Pascal thing. So the pseudocode, let me see that how we are giving the different programming construct or representing the different programming construct using pseudocode. The comment is begun with double slash and it is assumed that it will be continued till the end of the line. If you want to specify any block, then we people are using the opening and closing curly braces. And between that opening and closing curly braces, the body of block have been given and the statement will be ended by semicolon. If we are having an identifier, then identifier is begins with later. If you want to show some assignment of value, then we are using such a expression and we are using this assignment operator. If we are having the boolean values, then the boolean values are using true and false values. So with help of logical operators and relational operators, we can tackle these boolean values. If you want to specify the array element or specifically in the two-dimensional array elements, then they can be accessed by using the opening and the closing bracket. Means if I want to identify I and jth element of this two-dimensional array, then we are writing a into the square bracket I comma j. If we want to specify the while loop, then we are writing while the conditions have been written directly, do and opening and closing curly braces indicates that which statement you want to be executed. So similarly for the for loop, we are having the for loop for variable I is equal to value 1 to value 2. Step means what we want to do. Okay, that we have to write it down. So these are the some ways where we people are showing our conditional statements. If you want to write down our algorithm, that is a function name, then we are writing algorithm, then name of that function, what type of parameters you want to pass. If you are interested in the do while loop, then we are writing repeat until statement. If there are multiple cases, then cases can be written like this way. So this is the way that where we can able to write down the pseudocode. Now let we are interested to find a maximum element in the n given numbers. So what we are doing? We people are writing down the algorithm. So what this algorithm? Here it indicates that algorithm indicates that it is a function. Then max is a function. That function is containing a. What is it a? A is an array of size n. Then we need to describe that what is the input. Then what that function has to do, we are writing in opening and closing curly braces. So what we are doing? Initially we are considering the first element is maximum element. Then from that second onwards, we people are comparing that elements. So this is the way where we are identifying that how to calculate the maximum element in the given array. If you want to interested to do some sorting techniques, right? So here some logic have been provided that for I is equal to 1 to n, then we are examining which is the smallest element and then we are interchanging their positions. So if I want to do this selection sorting on my array E, which is having n number of elements, then obviously we need to start with first element. Then we need to start then we need to say that how that selection sort works we'll see in next coming session. The reason behind is that means like this way we people are providing this selection sort specifically by their pseudocode. So once we are getting that algorithm and we know that the algorithm is a finite set of instructions which performing a specific task. It can be happen for a given problem. We are having multiple or more than one algorithms, means two algorithms. So when comparing the two different algorithms that solves the same problem, then you will often find that one algorithm is more efficient than that of another. Then what we have to do? Then we have to be able to recognize and choose which is the more efficient algorithm. So the Brast and Bratley they coined the term algorithmic. The algorithmic is nothing but the systematic study of fundamental techniques which is used to design and analyze the efficient algorithm. When we are saying a function is linear, linear means what? Which does not having any looping statement. So the efficiency of that function indicates that how many number of instructions are there. Suppose that function is containing the 5 executable statement, then we can say the 5 is the efficiency of that particular function. If function is having a loop, then it might be vary depending upon that what is the value of n we are providing. Because we know that every looping statement is having the end condition. So based on that end condition, our looping statements are having different number of instructions and we are getting different efficiency. Generally, the efficiency depends on the speed of computers and different kinds of the factors. So to calculate the efficiency of the factor, uh, we are not considering these factors. What we are interested, we are going to take that the particular statement and identify that how much time it will take to execute that statement. Means we are saying that the algorithm's efficiency as a function of the number of elements to be processed. So that's why we are saying f of n is equal to efficiency, means how many elements are being processed by using that particular function. Now you look out this diagram and identify that how many times the body of this looping statement will be executed. Right? The answer is 1000. Why 1000? Because we have shown that if I is a counter, then until you will not reach to that 1000, value of I will not reach to that 1000, this statement will be executed. So the number of iterations is proportional to the loop factor. That's why we are saying f of n is equal to loop factor. If you are getting this another example, now can you identify that how many times this statement will be executed? Now here our counter is changed. Yes, the answer is 500 times. So can we say that it is based on this looping factor 1000? Definitely not. So we are saying it is not always a straight to say that it is based on loop factor. Okay, take this example. Can you tell out that how many times these statements will be executed? Means if the value of I is 1, it will be executed one time. If value of I is now becomes 2, then it is executed. So let me see its analysis. So in this multiplication, when the value of I, it will be executed, that we are calling as a first iteration. Now I becomes 2, it is called as second iteration. Means after every iteration, the value of I is increased by 2. So after 10th iteration, we are getting the value is 512. Now after this 512, we are getting the value is 124. So 124 is less than 1000? No, then we are coming out of it. Similarly, if we are going to identify that for this division code, I is equal to 1, okay, and I is equal to 1, sorry, I is initially set to 1000, and we are saying that the value of I is, until we will not get the value of I is 1, we are executing that code. So in the first iteration, the value of I is 1000. Now due to this I is equal to 1000 divided by 2, the value of I is becomes 500. Means at the second iteration, the value of I is 500. 500 is greater than 2? Yes. So I becomes now 250 at the third iteration, right? So again 250 is greater than 1. Yes, then we are getting it is 125 at the fourth iteration. Like that fashion, for every iterations, the value of I is going to be changed. And when we are having here the value of 1 at the one iterations, we are saying 1 divided by 2. So we are not getting that 1 value. So we coming out of that looping statement. Means if you have observed in the multiplication that 2 raised to that iteration is less than 1000, we are comparing. Similarly, for this division, that 1000 divided by 2 raised to iteration is greater than or is equal to 1. Means based on that 2 raised to iteration, our looping statements, these looping statements are being executed. Means for such a code, we are having the logarithmic loops. That's why this function f of n is having that efficiency, or the number of iterations are log to the base log to n. Okay, so we can say that the looping statements are giving you the number of iterations, and depending upon that we can calculate there how many times that looping statement will be executed. So if the loop is a nested loop, then we need to think that iterations are nothing but that outer loop iterations multiplied by inner loop iterations. Then let me see that how this nested loop we are getting that linear logarithmic, dependent quadratic, and quadratic. Let me start with the linear logarithmic loop. Try to identify that how many times this loop will be executed. So here we are saying that when the value of I is 1, then j will be 1 to 10. When value of I is 2, the j value will be 1 to 10. When value of I is 3, then j value will be 1 to 10. So like that fashion, this way we are getting the execution of this looping statement. So we can say that here the inner loop, that is a loop for the j, will be controlled by the outer loop, right? So the number of iterations of the inner loop is nothing but the log 10 to the base 2, right? So while we are saying that this outer loop will be executed 10 times, so that's why the complete looping statement is having the number of iterations are 10. That means outer loop multiplied by inner loop. So that's why we are getting the result is 10 log to the base to 10. Okay. So what is efficiency in generally way? So we can say that these looping statements are based on the value of n. That's why the function f of n is equal to n log n. Dependent quadratic loop. In the dependent quadratic loop are nothing but that the outer for loop is again controlling our inner for loop. In this case, that the value of j is based on the value of I. In the previous example, the value of j was not dependent, right? They are independent. That is j values from 1 to 10. But in this case, the value of j is based on that value of I. That's why we are calling this is that dependent quadratic looping statements. So here the again inner for loop is controlled by our outer for loop, that is it is based on the value of I. So while we are going to be execute when I is 1, the j for loop will be executed 1 times. When I is 2, this j for loop will be executed 2 times. When I is 3, j will be executed 3 times, that is means j 1 2 3. If I is 4, j value become 1 2 4. So means the inner for loop will be executed by adding the values of I. That means the first iteration it will be executed 1 time. When I is 2, j for loop will be executed 2 times. When I is 10, j for loop will be executed 10 times. Then we do the addition of them. We are getting 55. If we compute the average, that means we are getting that 55 divided by 10 because there are total 10 numbers. So we can say that the iteration, that inner iteration or the inner loop is equivalently executed by number of iteration plus 1 divided by 1 divided by 2. So an outer for loop will be executed 10 times. That means if the value of 10, we are saying if it is n, right? So we are saying that j will be executed 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus n plus, right? So we are getting the output is n plus 1 divided by 2. So that's why we are saying that the total iteration is n into n plus 1. That is called as dependent quadratic loop will be executed by such a times. Next one is a quadratic loop. In that quadratic loop, here the value of I and j are not dependent. Means outer for loop will be executed 10 times and inner for loop will be also executed. Means sorry, the outer for loop will be executed 10 times and inner for loop is again controlled by the statement value of I. When I is 1, the inner for loop will be executed 10 times. When I is 2, inner for loop will be executed 10 times. Means inner for loop is completely executed 10 times. So that's why if you identified their calculations, so we are getting that inner for loop will be executed 100 times based on the values of 1 to I 1 to 10. So that's why we are saying that the iterations are outer for loop will be executed 10 and inner for loop will be executed 100 times, right? That's why we are getting the result is n square. So in this case, the algorithm, this particular statement algorithm is required n square time. So we are analyzing that the algorithm efficiency is defined as the function of number of elements being processed and what type of looping statements we are using. For the logarithmic loop, it is having log n. For linear loop, it is having n, that means number of statements. If there are the inner logarithmic loops, then it is n log n. If dependent quadratic, we are having such a situation. Thank you. Happy learning.